Hello everyone, and welcome to Unironic Minecraft, Episode 2, which is actually a very special episode because this is the first episode that actually has any kind of plan going forward, as, the first one was just kind of to see what would happen, and you know what? It's fun. I freaking love Minecraft. It's the best, dude. Who doesn't love Minecraft? Welcome back to, Sony Entertainment Productions main headquarters. Which still has frame rate problems. I'm still trying to figure that out. I have no idea what it is that this base has that causes the frame rate to drop, but there sure is something. Today we're going to be talking about the coffee machine, as it's one of the various contraptions that's been built around here. And of course, let's get a coffee. Let's get a good old coffee. The one thing about coffee in this game is that coffee actually has pretty decent buffs, and it stacks, so if you drink another coffee, much like in real life, you get more hyperactive. And it stacks up to a point, the point being around 6 cups of coffee, and then it kills you, so watch out for that. So in order to explain exactly how our coffee machine works, because clearly that's not it. There's a lot to that. In fact, these little dispensers are actually just coffee distributors. They don't actually have... They just have coffee in them, and they get restocked automatically when I dispense a coffee out of it. Takes a few seconds, but it retrieves the coffee and puts it in the dispenser automatically. And yeah, it's a neat little trick because our coffee production center is actually in a different area, and we're going to take a quick minecart ride up to the Starbucks that I have built. Oh, good. There's a. I'll just edit that out. All right, so here we are, finally arriving. Nothing went wrong. I did not, in fact, run into a random minecart that I cannot possibly fathom why it was even there. But it's okay because now we're here. No problem. This is the Starbucks. Here's our little Starbucks lounge in case you want to just like sit down and have a coffee with your bros. Not gay. Got our little coffee shop with the... I just had to have like an actual coffee shop. It just needed to be a thing. And of course they serve coffee of much quantity. And in order to explain how this coffee shop works, we're actually gonna have to start right at the beginning with the coffee crops themselves. Now, Industrial Craft 2 crops are complicated. Why is there a slime here? What are you doing? Where'd you come from? Get out of here. Industrial Craft 2 crops are interesting and complicated. The gist of it is that you take 2 plants and you put a crop between them, and it will crossbreed the plants and make a different plant or the same plant or just whatever. And you have to do this over and over and over to get different plants, and then you finally can like crossbreed into coffee. It takes forever. I would seriously, if I were to put a value to the crops here, just one of these plants is worth like 10 diamonds, no doubt. But I got enough of them. It took a while. Wow, there are a lot of slimes. I guess they're... Where are they even coming from, actually? Alright, then. How did I miss? Alright, then. Welcome back. Nothing is going wrong. This is going exceedingly well on all counts. I believe where we are, we were talking about the plants. So yes, we have coffee beans. They were annoying to obtain, and I have them encased in a structure like this to prevent anything bad happening, such as creepers or cows jumping in there and crushing the farm plants. Just for pure safety, just a complete encasement on all sides with a piston door to get in there if I need to, which I don't generally need to. So you're actually probably wondering now, like, okay, so what's the deal with these plants? They are different after all. Like, they have the little sticks in them to hold them up. They are IC2 crops, which are different than normal crops. Well, they actually are. The thing that's mainly special about these is they require a little bit of maintenance to grow. And normally you'd have to go in there and like manually water them and manually fertilize them, but I ain't got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. We want automation. We want a coffee machine that makes coffee for us and does not require us to come over here and babysit it. So essentially all I ever have to do is go into this chest right here and dump a decent number of water cells. These water cells then get automatically moved out into this extractor, which, give it a second, it'll pull the water cells in through the pipe, and it will extract them, turning them into hydration cells. The hydration cells are then immediately exported out into this big bucket, this big old huge chest that contains hydration cells and fertilizer. This pipe right here then pulls the necessary amount of fertilizer and hydration cells into what is called a crop matron. This machine essentially just takes care of plants for you, and it uses hydration cells and fertilizer to do it. Very useful. Without this, all this farmland would be terrible and take forever to grow anything. It does mean I have to come over here and refill this thing every once in a while, but honestly, filling this chest up lasts like an eternity. Actually, just a ridiculous amount of time. So it's not very often that I have to come over here and do any maintenance on the machine, which is good. Another important thing is that, of course, we need electricity to run these machines and to run the crop ration. So, So, of course, we're using solar panels and battery boxes because, once again, zero maintenance. Solar panels are just free energy. I mean, once you've built them, they make electricity. They're very simple. And we just run that electricity into bat boxes like this, so they get a good charge. And during the day, it charges up the batteries, and during the night, it discharges the batteries to keep the thing running. We also have some energy cells. So we have two types of electricity here. We have like traditional industrial craft electricity, and we have RF, redstone flux. And I'm using an energy bridge to convert the solar panel energy into both types so that I get an equal amount of both, because I need both. I mean, when you're building complex stuff, you end up needing multiple types of energy sometimes. And yes, so part of this RF energy goes over here to run a plant interactor. Now, this is a machine that does not harvest plants. What it does is it essentially right-clicks on any plants. The problem here is that industrial craft crops don't really work very well with the harvesting system. For whatever reason, coffee plants and many other industrial craft crops, when you right-click them and they're not fully grown, it resets their growth. Meaning that if I let this machine run, it will just constantly get the plants up to like 80% grown and then reset them back to like 40%. I think it's a bug. I don't know. It was annoying. And the workaround for this problem is a very, very long redstone timer and a redstone state cell. So these are basically compressed circuits. Essentially, they're from Forge Multipart. I thought they were from Project Red, but I guess they're Forge Multipart. Well, basically, they are very simplified small versions of complex circuits. What the timer does is it literally just triggers every 5,000 seconds. You can change the amount. 5,000 seconds is, I think, over an hour, like an hour and a half or something like that. That's about how long it takes for a coffee bean to grow. So I let this timer go every hour or so. It triggers a state cell, which then turns on and then turns off with a timer of 500 seconds. So every hour, this state cell turns on for a minute or so. 500 seconds. That's actually way more than a minute. It's like 10 minutes. It turns on for like 10 minutes. So yeah, it turns on for like 10 minutes, and like for 10 minutes, it does harvest, and then it turns off, and then we wait another hour, and essentially that loops. And that allows me to harvest the coffee beans when they're fully grown, but not mess them up when they're still growing, because, like I said, I don't know why, but coffee beans are very, very fragile, which is partly why I have them in this giant encasement. Another odd interaction is that the plant interactor is supposed to actually pick up items when it interacts with plants, but it doesn't work. And the items just end up on the ground, which obviously would mean they would just despawn. So we have what is called a vacuumulator here, which picks up any items that are directly in front of it. I have one on both sides, and both of these are immediately pumped out of the vacuumulators. They pick up the coffee beans that fall off the plants, and they send them down these pipes that go into the coffee shop. So once those coffee beans get picked up by the vacuumulator and sent down the pipes, they end up in here. And they more or less get turned into coffee powder by being macerated and then immediately put into this chest right here, which is kind of like the coffee powder storage chest. From here, whenever the machine has empty space in the inventory, it turns on and starts pulling from this chest, and more or less the coffee powder gets pulled into this automatic workbench, which is set up to craft cold coffee from coffee powder, water, and a stone mug. These stone mugs are basically created from nothing. We have this machine that creates cobblestone, which then goes into a furnace to make regular stone, which then goes into a workbench to create a stone mug, which then gets sent in this pipe and put into this inventory right here. We also have water, which is acquired by having a water pump here that has buckets put into it. The buckets then get exported out into this workbench. The workbench uses the bucket of water to make a cold coffee, and then it spits the bucket back out, and it goes right back into the water pump. So it's just a circle of empty bucket, water pump, full bucket, coffee, empty bucket, just over and over and over. I have like 4 or 5 buckets in there to keep it running. And once the cold coffee gets made, just like this, it gets made and then it gets immediately put into this pipe, and it shoots it down here and cooks it into some actual hot dark coffee. And then that gets sent over here into a crafting bench that makes dark coffee with sugar and milk into regular coffee. Now, regular coffee is just objectively better than than dark coffee in this game, and also in real life. Got him. So what we do is we harvest sugarcane with this really silly machine I built, and automatically pick it up and turn it into sugar. It's basically like what it does is it has these sugar canes growing, and whenever one of these sugar canes gets higher than 2 blocks, it automatically harvests it like that. And we just have 2 accumulators down here picking up the sugar cane, which then gets piped straight into this workbench to make sugar, which gets pushed in here. And then, of course, we have one last thing, the milk buckets. Of course, milk buckets are, of course, an odd thing to collect automatically. So we'll actually go back upstairs real quick and take a look at our cow farm. Now, we don't need that much milk, so 2 cows is actually just like more than enough. I don't know why the cows have merged. I've demerged the cows. Successful demerging. Yes, so 2 cows is more than enough. So this machine right here, all it really does is shear wool and milk cows. Very, very specific machine. Why? Fucking slimes. I don't understand why they spawn here. They don't even think they can hurt me. They just kind of exist at me. They're flexing on me, like, hidden. Alright, so yes, we have that milk. We pipe it down into here. It gets run into this machine, which is called a bottler. And this machine has the very specific purpose of putting things into buckets. And it's very similar to the pump situation, where we have empty buckets that get popped out of that crafting table over there. They run into this bottler. The bottler then fills the empty bucket. I'm not sure if I should just wait for one to come through. It does take a while. Might not be worth it. It's gonna take forever. Right, so yeah, empty bucket gets put in here, fills with milk, shoots it back out this way. And the bucket of milk goes into here, and we of course then craft a coffee that is properly sugared and milked, and that gets pushed into this chest. Wow, it already filled back up again? That was fast. I emptied it out just a minute or 2 ago. This thing is fast, man. This is efficient. This is an efficient system. It makes coffee faster than we can even fucking drink it. Now, okay, so the important thing about this chest here, so this is a ender chest. It's not the normal ender chest, it's a special ender chest that has a color combination on top, which in this case is just black, black, black. And any other ender chest with the same color combination is linked to it. Now, this is cool because that means that anyone on the server who wants coffee can just make an ender chest with this color combination and have some coffee, because this machine makes way too much goddamn coffee for me to ever get through personally, or with our group, or anyone. Like, no one is gonna drink all this coffee. There's too much goddamn coffee now. I made something that's supposed to be rare and hard to get incredibly plentiful. So that's just the situation now. And in fact, anyone who plays in the server, you are absolutely welcome to make an ender chest with the combination black, 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 and take some of that goddamn coffee off my hands. And that actually brings me to another point. This server is completely open for you guys to play on. We very recently went through the very difficult process of debugging and upgrading this mod pack and getting it working. So we now actually have a completely standalone launcher. Does not require any other nonsense like before, and you can just run it and you can play on the server. And we have a literal stupid amount of mods on here, just everything in the universe on the server. It's great. Kind of handpicked a lot of these mods. We added some cool stuff very recently, like the Aether, like the classic Aether Legacy Edition. We added all the immersive engineering stuff. We added some magic mods. Just all sorts of fun stuff. We've got guns. If there was ever something stupid to show off, this is my gun collection. Just in case you needed some guns in Minecraft. Very important. Yeah, everyone is welcome to play on the server. It is not the beefiest server in the world. It's definitely a bit of a weak system. It's made out of, it's basically an SSH build, like, that's running out of a closet, headless, and like, it's old. It's an old piece of hardware, but it does work. And yeah, it's fun. We have some good times on here. We're building lots of cool stuff in this server, and it's always fun to have more people building for obvious reasons. So anyways, I think that ends this episode. If you want to join up, the link to the mod pack is in the description, along with the IP address of the server as it currently is. Anyways, have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time when we're going to talk about the Recyclotron. Ooh, sounds mysterious and interesting, doesn't it? Whew.